Hello and welcome to episode number 47 of the WP Café show with me, Keith Devon.
And with me, Mark Wilkinson. How are you today, Keith?
I'm all right.
You're all right.
It's it's Friday, so that's a good thing.
That's good.
Yeah,
It's been one of those weeks, is it?
It has, yeah. I think I had a mega rant to you yesterday where I was just like in existential crisis mode again. I go through these, don't I? Occasionally.
Yeah, a little bit.
But was it? Yeah. So just recently, I've just kind of been feeling. I don't know why this came up in my head, but I kind of had this realization that I'm getting worse at my job in some ways, because I kind of realized like I used to be really into things like conversion rate optimization and like the intricacies of design and typography and SEO and like all this stuff that I was like really into. And I felt like for a while in my career, I was getting better and better and better at my craft. And I kind of like reflected on the last few years and it's felt more like I've just been surviving rather than thriving. Like I've just been like, oh my God, like how do I do this? How do I do that? Like not in a kind of like getting better way, but just to like maintain what I've always been able to do. And like obviously this is a Gutenberg thing. I think it's safe to say, like, because so much of our attention and certainly my attention recently has gone into how do I work with this thing? Like it's completely new. Like I'm so much to learn about, and it's taken up so much of my energy just to be able to do the things that I used to be able to do easily in this new world. And all that energy that I used to spend on getting better at things and being interested in things has just been sucked into Gutenberg. And it just dawned on me the other day, and I got quite depressed about it. Like I was just a bit like, ugh, you know, I want to be like raising my game and getting better at building websites, not just like fighting against a system. But there you go. That's how. But you know, I'm feeling a little bit better today. But yesterday I was feeling a bit low.
I bet you're not alone. I bet you're not alone. If anyone's watching and can sympathise with Keith's sorts of like with the change, I think, to WordPress and things, then let us know in the comments. And then if you're not, let us know in the comments who's around. Hello. So if you've got any questions,
how are you anyway, Mark?
Let us know. I am really good actually. The weather is wonderful here today. It was snowing this morning, and then now like the clouds have disappeared. It is blazing sunshine. It's still cold, and we've got in our sort of kitchen extension, we've got two sort of like skylight windows. So I've actually just been led on the floor in front of the patio door and shut my eyes in the sun. It felt like I was on holiday. It was great.
That's awesome.
I almost had I had a cheeky 10 minutes with the golf on. So it was good.
Very nice.
It's been nice. Anyway, what else are we going to get into today? Usual stuff. Thank you for joining us. If you are joining us live, if you are listening on the podcast, then thanks for listening. If you haven't yet subscribed to the High Rise Digital channel on YouTube, please do so and click the notification bell so you will get a lovely email that comes into your inbox that says, hey, we're live on Friday at 1:30, which we do every Friday. And click that like button. Give this video a like. It's going to be good. I'm sure it is. Hello to Sander. Hello to X-Salams. Thank you for joining us. Let's get into our first topic, which was something that... Did you find this? Was it sent to you or this report or what was it?
Yeah, it was sent to me. I think it was Nick Wilmot sent me this.
Oh, right.
So it's a report by the Admin Bar, and it is called the 2023 WordPress Professionals Report. The Admin Bar is something I think I'd heard of before, but I had to like double check what it actually was. It seems to be a community of WordPress professionals. So it's theadminbar.com. Looks pretty interesting, actually.
Just a quick one. You're a little quiet for me. I don't know if that's for everyone else as well. But
sakes, me and my audio settings.
It's not unaudible, but you're a little bit quiet. I'll put the link to this report on the screen there. Which, if
you just need to turn your, I think you need to turn your sound up.
Maybe. If you're watching, it's sorry, if you're not watching, you listen to the podcast. It's theadminbar.com/2023-survey. So
Yeah.
that's what we're talking about. If you want to have a look in your own leisure.
So it's a survey of 667 WordPress professionals. Just asked a series of questions, and they've actually presented it really beautifully. Like, the design of this is, I think, stunning. So congrats to whoever that was who designed it. But I thought maybe we could just kind of like run through some of the findings and just kind of get our reaction to them, or just like use it as a little talking point. I guess my first insight or thought is that 667 is not a particularly big number.
No.
So statistical relevance or whatever is probably relatively low. And also, this is probably quite a skewed data set. I assume it's mostly members of the admin bar community who probably have biases. I don't know, are the majority of them in the US and of a certain demographic, of a certain age? I don't know, but it's probably not particularly representative worldwide, I wouldn't think. But still interesting. There's still some interesting stuff in here. So just to go through them. So the first question was like your capacity. And the question is, do you run your agency full time or as a side hustle? 77% full time, 23% is a side hustle. So yeah, kind of interesting.
I'm more interested in what main hustle is then for those 23%. If this is the side hustle,
I guess maybe some people work at an agency and then do their own thing on the side. Or, I mean, you started your WordPress career as a bit of a side hustle.
Yeah, I think that's why I'm interested. Like, is it someone that does something completely different? Like they're a lawyer and they do this at night, and or is it someone who is in this industry doing something else? Maybe something else with Laravel or something, and then they're doing WordPressy stuff like as a side hustle. Interesting to know.
Yeah, that would be interesting to know. So that was the first question. The second was years in business. So how many years have you been in business? I find it interesting that there was a 26 to 30 years. And I think WordPress is, how old's WordPress now? I'm not sure. It's
2003, wasn't it? I think
certainly not 26 years old yet. So. But I guess you could be running a web agency for nearly 30 years and have just switched to WordPress. I mean, that's totally valid. But the vast majority of people are in their first 5 years.
Interesting.
Yeah, it is kind of interesting because I know WordPress is, it's the kind of big player. But you hear a lot of people saying things like, if you were starting today, you would never use WordPress because it's old and it's not, modern technology. So, but there's still plenty of people just getting into it by the looks of things. So yeah, I thought that was reasonably interesting, and I just thought it kind of obviously, I guess, kind of falls away from that point. So 33% 1 to 5 years, 25% 6 to 10 years. We'd be in the 11 to 15 years, I guess, personally.
Not as high rise, though.
Not as high rise, but like our career.
Personally,
if we're looking at our career, we'd be that. So 20% of people in there. So yeah.
The next one was team size, which I thought was interesting. So this again, this might be skewed with the people that are filling this in terms of this community, but like 59% of people filling this in were one-person teams, which I thought was interesting. Which I guess is indicative of like how we started as well. We were just one-person teams, and then you sort of grow from there. 23% 2 to 3, and then 18% more than 4 people in their team. Which kind of tells me that the survey didn't include any sort of bigger agencies that were in maybe the enterprise space, because they have teams that are bigger than that, don't they? Like, more than 10 people, more than 20 people, some of them. So
yeah, absolutely. I think this team size one gets even more interesting whenever you read the answers to some of the questions further down, because there's a question that we'll come to about like what services you offer. And a lot of people are offering a lot of services. And if that's one person delivering all that, like, fair play with that person. But
exactly, yeah.
The next
one was interesting. The state of WordPress. So how would you characterize your feelings about WordPress's current state? Obviously, yesterday Keith was probably on the negative side of this one, but the 68% of surveyed people said positively, so they felt positive about WordPress's state of play, and 28% was neutral, 4% negative.
I'd find it hard to answer this because I'm still positive about a lot of WordPress, but I'm very, very negative about certain aspects of it.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't say I feel neutral because my feelings are quite kind of extreme. So and I don't feel like they kind of balance each other out into neutral. But
yeah,
what about you?
Swinging from both ends of the spectrum every day.
Yeah, like half of me feels over here and half of me feels over there. There's nothing in the middle. But what about you?
Yeah.
How would you have answered that?
I think I just said positively. I think,
yeah,
I think positively. I think overall, it's like there's been rockiness in the road, definitely, but I think overall positively. Feeling that WordPress stuff. I think so. Definitely positive. What about you guys still listening? You positive about WordPress? Negative about WordPress? Indifferent? What do you reckon? Let us know in the comments.
Yeah.
Next one is agency trajectory. How would you characterize the overall trajectory? Get that out. Of your business? 65% are growing, which I think's good. 31% stagnant, not growing or shrinking, and only 4% declining. So
I think this is probably heavily skewed again by that team size, because if it's a lot of one-person teams just starting out, they're probably going to be growing in a sense. It's easy to grow from there. So, and I think people are generally optimistic about their own futures. Generally, I think.
Yeah, that's true.
But
are we growing? Are we stagnant? Are we shrinking?
Well, it depends. Like, what trajectory? Like growth in what sense? Like, we're not adding any team members. If that's the growth you're talking about, are we talking about revenue growth? Are we talking about?
I presume it means.
Yeah.
Trajectories. I presume that's got to be like growing in terms of like the amount of cash you're making. Maybe I would imagine.
I think we have grown in the last. This year's accounts are much healthier than last year's accounts. But if I was to predict next year's accounts, I would say that there's a chance that we will not grow in this next year. There's a chance. I wouldn't bet on us doing better next year than we did this year. Let's put it like that.
We'll see.
Same?
We'll see.
Or different? Okay. Do you feel differently?
I don't know. I don't think we'll shrink. I think we'll make the same at least. I think so. In which case, I'd like to think we will make more because, I just think like with the products we've got and opportunities we've got some other products coming online. If they can be a success and there's every signs that they might be, then that's only going to get better. So we'll see. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, we will see. Average website project price was the next question, and again, pretty interesting. 10% charging less than $1,000 for a website. It's pretty cheap, but that's where I started. First. I mean, I remember like the first time I charged over £1,000 for a website, I thought I was some kind of charlatan. I thought I was like robbing somebody. It felt horrible. And then that just becomes normalized, and then you move up to the next level, and that becomes normalized, and you move up to the next level.
I always remember when I started that because we have a big Morrison storage over the road, and I always remember when I started like selling websites for like you say like 500 quid or 350 quid or 750 quid, and I always remember thinking, one day I'll sell one to Morrison's for like 10 grand. It's like got there eventually, I always remember that.
Interesting on this one. So the average or the median, or I don't even know what it is 2,500 to 5,000 is the average. So we definitely sit at the top end of this particular one. Interesting that only 1% average is over $40,000. I thought that might be a little bit more actually. And actually, if you look at over 20,000, it's only 2.4%, which is pretty small. which is pretty small. So just like that, it's interesting just to see where we sit on that kind of bell curve.
Yeah.
I guess
Right at the
like
top, aren't we? Well, not right at the top, but
yeah,
more at the top than I thought we would be, actually. But interesting.
yeah, yeah.
They're much
Which is good.
lower prices than I thought those, actually.
Do you know what I'd love? I would really love to see, like, to almost to work with someone who's in that like 2,500 to 5,000 range, and to see how they do it. Because
Mm.
I look at that price today and I just think I couldn't do anything for that. Like I couldn't, but you can. I'd love to see what those processes and tools look like, and to see like how that's delivered and what that. Yeah, I just think that would be fascinating because I feel like we've kind of we're quite far removed from that in some ways now. But there, people obviously do great work at that price point. So I think that's fascinating.
Yes, Sander says page builders. There's
Yeah.
the answer to that one probably. And presets. I'm not sure what I mean by presets. Maybe like templates and things that are already built and stuff. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But essentially, like you're not reinventing the wheel for every site, are you? So
yeah.
Yep.
Interesting. The next one. So revenue in 2022. What was your total revenue? Just something that jumps out at me here is well, over $1 million is 1.85%, which is a higher percentage than the number of people charging over 40,000 for a project. So that's either people doing a lot of small. Well, I guess it's people doing more small projects than we thought. And it'd be interesting to see how those two questions like match up. Like, is that 1 million one just an agency that's churning out loads and loads and loads at 10 grand, or is it it's
that's a
lot of websites
websites
to make up £1 million? Yeah.
Yeah. That's a lot of websites.
But I guess like us, we've got our product side of things, so that could be a product business.
Yeah. Or a mix.
Who knows?
Yeah.
But again, this like the vast majority of people earning less than 50,000. So not majority. The most popular answer under 50,000. So like that's 40% of respondents, and then
that makes sense with having most one-man teams. So
exactly. One-person teams. But yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Person team.
And then profit margins. This is something I like pay very little attention to in our business, so I wouldn't have a clue really. I mean, we could work it out. But yeah, profit margins. So 31.6% at 0 to 19% profit, and then again, it kind of mostly fades away from there. But there's some people making some pretty hefty profits there. 60 to 79%, 18.8% of respondents. So yeah. Interesting. I don't know what ours is, so I don't know where we sit in that.
Some comments come in. Quick comment. So Munch92 says, I used to work with an agency that have changed their tact from delivering 10K custom sites and themes, and they now do 1 to 2K Elementor sites. I think that's just sad, but the client wins, I suppose. I think we get hung up on, like, we were chatting about this, was it yesterday? We get hung up on doing like the best work we possibly can. And sometimes like something's just good enough and the client loves it. And actually you need to find that sweet spot whereby, you're not spending 20 hours doing something to make it absolutely perfect. Because there just doesn't need to happen, So it's interesting to think about that. And that's how people are making 79% profit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I know what he means though about that being feeling a bit sad, but but interestingly, at the end of that comment, he said, "But the client wins," and is that not the whole point, really?
Exactly. I think that sums it up in a way. Yeah. Recurring revenue is next. What percentage of your revenue is from recurring revenue sources? And 14.7% said 82. Hang on a minute, I don't understand this. 80 to 100% recurring revenue. Oh, I mean, so 80 to 100% of the revenue you make is recurring. Only 14.7% said that, and it drops to 0 to 19% of recurring revenue is 32%. So recurring revenue seems to be popular, but not the main source of revenue for people. I would say is the sort of takeaway from that, which is interesting.
Be interesting what those
for us, that would be 40 to 59%, probably. I would imagine.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, which is interesting.
I think so. Yeah, it'd be
next one
interesting
is
to know what those actually were, those recurring revenue streams. Like,
yeah,
because
products,
maintenance will come into
yeah,
that, I would think. Yeah,
that sort of stuff.
hosting and stuff. Yeah.
Next one's hourly rate. The average hourly rate was $96 per hour. So I guess in UK
Higher
terms,
than I
what's that?
thought, I have to say, as an average.
Yeah, I thought that as well.
Because is that not like 80 quid or something?
96? Hang on, I'm just trying to do it in Google USD. It's about
And
80 quid, correct? £80.53. That's really high. I think that's really high.
I was surprised at that as an average. I was very, very surprised. And considering the revenue figures in one of the previous questions, I'm kind of doesn't make loads of sense to me.
Not doing much work.
Yeah,
for the 50 grand.
Yeah, well, fair enough, right? Like, work part time at a high rate and earn a decent living. That sounds good to me. The interesting thing here is that it's higher with a niche than without. So $110 an hour with a niche, $89 an hour without, and that,
I think that's something we've niched down to recruitment. I think that's true, isn't it? I think we feel like the expertise we can offer is more valued.
I think that's true, but I think we've also found that we haven't really found where we sit within the market we're trying to target in some ways. We've struggled a little bit to find our place within recruitment, to really find our value. And but yeah, I think, take price out of it, I definitely feel like we're adding more value to the clients we're working with now, because we can answer their specific questions and address their specific problems.
Definitely.
But yeah, it's just trying to get that reflected in a rate would be good.
Website accessibility is next. When it comes to website accessibility, would you say nearly 77% have said that they strive for best practices?
I think we'd sit there.
Yeah, probably. Strive.
Because we definitely...
Could we say that for every project we strive for the best practices on accessibility?
Yeah, okay. But we're definitely not the other two answers.
No.
And that's, I think, why most people probably have put themselves in that bucket.
Yeah.
Because...
So the other ones was don't consider accessibility. We're definitely not there. That's 13.4%. And adhere to the WCAG guidelines.
Yeah.
We're not there either. So that's 9.7%. So that's a good point. But it's one of those things like where you say, oh, yeah, I'm trying my best. But when you actually think about it, are you actually trying your very best? Is there nothing else you could do to get in? Actually, there probably is. Accessibility.
Next question.
SEO, search engine optimization.
Yeah.
Go for it, Keith.
When it comes to SEO, would you say you do no SEO at all, just do the basics, or do thorough SEO? Most people answer the middle question. So 69% just do the basics. Hardly anybody ignores it.
Yeah. What the basics though? Like,
well, again, I think this is similar to the previous question, that you've got to choose a bucket, and we don't do no SEO at all, and we probably don't do what you might call thorough SEO. So we'd probably put ourselves in that middle bucket like everyone else has.
If in doubt, go in the middle.
Yeah. So just do the basics. No. So we would be between, I think, the just do the basics and the do thorough somewhere. I don't think those questions really cover the full spectrum there. This next question I really liked. So paid discovery. Do you charge for project discovery? Never, always, or sometimes. I was really surprised that there are so many people that charge for discovery, and pleasantly surprised, because I think it's a good thing. But 48% said sometimes, 10% said always. So more than half of the respondents. More than half of the respondents said, they do charge for discovery quite often. So that's good.
Yeah. What about everyone listening, watching? Do you charge for discovery always? Sometimes? It's interesting. It's an interesting. We always battle with that one, don't we? We do it more often than we don't. For the right project. If it's a smaller project, sometimes it just doesn't need it. But it's interesting that it's one of those things that's it's not seen as something you can charge for almost sometimes, and clients kind of think that as well. Why am I paying for working out what I want almost? But it is important, so I'd be interested to know what you guys do. I'm conscious of time here because we've been rambling on, and we've still got a lot of these to go through. So I don't really want to pick some of the whiz through some. So page builder of choice. What was the highest there? Gutenberg was not the highest. It was Elementor, but Elementor and Gutenberg was very similar, 26 and 23%. Divi 12%, Beaver Builder 12%. I don't know what this one is.
Oxygen.
Yeah. Bricks Builder. Bricks Builder was 12% and Oxygen was 6.5%. There you go. Yeah. Lead source was the next one. 73% of referrals were the biggest leads which is massive. Massive. And drops down to sort of cold calling at 0.5%, and paid ads, interestingly, at 1.7%. So much,
which isn't much. I wonder if that means there's some opportunities there.
Yeah,
I thought that number looked very, very small. So yeah, interesting.
64% of agencies did no email marketing, which I thought was interesting at all. 25% weren't very consistent with it, so I had a dabble in it and that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Content creation, most did written content, 61%, 22% video, 6% audio, or none.
This is the one I found quite surprising, I think, because lots of one-person teams, lots of kind of cheap projects, but people 22% doing video content for their clients. I was like, what? Like, I just thought like video design or editing would be. I don't know what that means.
It says for your agency, so it means creating your own content.
You're right. It's for yourself. Right, gotcha.
That's why I found 37% none. So 37% of people don't actually write any content. They must write website content.
Yeah, but I guess it means probably blog posts, ongoing stuff that you put your website up. But do you do anything on an ongoing basis for marketing? So we would be under video, audio, and written. I think we'd do all those. Probably
we do. Yeah.
Go on. Niche. Do you have a well-defined niche? 20% yes, 44% no, 35% somewhat. How can you have a somewhat well-defined niche? It's either well-defined or it's not, surely. Yeah, I think we're definitely in the yes category now. Yeah, most people don't, which doesn't massively surprise me, because I think when you're starting out, you're typically a generalist, and most people are obviously in those small 1 to 5 one person kind of teams, so it doesn't surprise me too much.
This next one was also interested. Outbound marketing. Are you regularly and consistently putting effort into outbound marketing? And 87% of people said no.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. Only 13% obviously said yes, that they do outbound marketing of any kind. Interesting. A lot of opportunities.
I mean, that is interesting. I would have liked to have seen a question about the marketing split then. So what marketing do people do? I know there was that one about referrals. It's where the traffic's coming in, but that's not actually the effort people are putting in. So I'd love to see, are people doing email, video, podcasts? What are people actually doing? I think that would have been a really good question. This next one, services offered, we can't really get into this too much.
Complicated.
But again, I just find it interesting that people do offer so many services. We struggle just to do design and development and stay on top of that. So people are offering SEO services, accessibility, copywriting, social media, email marketing, strategy, all sorts. So yeah, fair play to you if you're wearing that many hats. That's all I say. And that's it. I think that's the last question.
Yeah, it is. Just interestingly, you can actually access the raw data as well and sort it and filter it. So if you wanted to have a little deeper look into it, you can certainly do that. We've got a couple of comments. Let's add this on. This one is from Munch92. Will you guys say no to anything other than recruitment then? And if so, does it kill you to say no? It would me. That's a really good question. Not yet is the answer. However, so recently, I say recently, it was probably last year, wasn't it, actually? Maybe even the year before. We built a website for a school. which was a really good project, really fun. We had some like stunning designs came in, and we just had to build them into a WordPress site. It was one of those like really good projects where here's a great website design, just turn it into a WordPress website that we can edit, like the perfect project. That went really, really well. And we've actually had quite a few inquiries off the back of that, other schools seeing that, liking it, seeing our name on the bottom and getting in touch. So we've not said no to those because they've come to you for a reason. We can deliver what they want, so it's a little bit different. Having said that, we don't advertise anything else except recruitment. Our website is all about recruitment and so on. So we don't attempt to go out and get other things. But if they do fall in our pockets and they are the right project at the right price, doing the right thing, then we will probably at least pitch for them. That's where we are at the moment. That may change. I anticipate it probably will change as we move into our journey into the recruitment section. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Great question.
That's good. Any other questions you have, you can get them in the comments. We'll try and answer a few. Couple of other things to mention. I had a server crisis this morning. I woke up and checked my emails, as you do, and I had about 7 or 8 emails saying server up, server down, server up, server down, server up, server down. Unfortunately, the last email that was there said it was down. And this was the server that has our website on, in which we use Spin Up WP. If you've ever used it, it's good. Give it a go. And the site had gone down. It had actually been down for like 2 hours when I woke up. So I had a fumble around trying to work out what was going on. Found that I couldn't connect anything to it. Spin Up couldn't connect to it. I couldn't FTP to it. I couldn't SSH to it after I'd worked out how to SSH to something again, which I do every time. Because I couldn't literally do anything. I couldn't ping it in the terminal. But the DNS seemed fine. Everything seemed fine. So my fix was the obvious. It was just switch it off and switch it on again. And it worked.
It worked.
So I had to just go into DigitalOcean, hit the kill switch, and then hit the power up switch again. And then once I did that, it seemed to have worked. So I don't actually know what was wrong. It kind of fixed itself. But yeah, it was a bit of a worrying moment for a while there. So this morning as to what happened.
Yeah.
But we got through it.
It did. We should wrap up.
So
32 minutes, long show this week. So thank you as always for joining us. Thanks for your questions and your comments. Always really nice to get those live. So if you want to join us kind of live on air like that and get your comments in and join the chat, we are on YouTube. You can find us there and subscribe to the channel and hit the little bell to get notified when the videos start. That'd be great. Or you can find us on your podcast player of choice. Just search for WP Café and you'll find us there too. We'll be back next week. Not sure what we'll be chatting about. If anyone has any questions that they'd like us to cover, questions or topics they want us to cover on next week's show or a following show, please let us know. You can find Mark and I. We still hang out on Twitter for the time being. I'm at Keith Devon or Mark is at WP Mark. You can just contact us directly there or contact the show on there too. But until next week, see you soon.
Bye-bye.